What's up everyone, it's Sprometheus, and since it looks like we're going to be brewing our coffee at home for a little while, and I have a little extra time, I figured I'd dive in and make this video about the top 3 easiest brewing methods for people who aren't necessarily home baristas. So we're going to look at making some of our favorite drinks. I'm going to take some of the guesswork out of measuring and weighing out coffee and water, and show you how to do this without a scale, and just show you a couple easy tricks for making coffee at home. So let's dive in. So first things first, let's talk about brew ratios and how to take some of the mystery out of that. So there are apps out there for this. You don't really necessarily need an app. It's pretty simple math to do. Generally, I like to do a 1:16 ratio, so that's 1 coffee to every 16 waters. In this case, we're doing 20 grams of coffee, so that comes out to 320 grams of water. This is good to make sure you have the right strength for your coffee. If you like it more watery or you like it more coffee focused, you can adjust that up or down however you'd like. But for the sake of simplicity and relative accuracy, I'm going to stick with this 320 grams of water and 20 grams of coffee through these first 2 brewing methods. But for those of you who don't have a kitchen scale, I'm going to show you how you can do this without a scale, and we're going to look at what these things come out to in terms of ounces. So 20 grams comes out to roughly 2 ounces. That'll go up or down a little bit depending on the size of your coffee bean, but you'll be relatively close. 320 grams of water, on the other hand, pretty closely comes out to about 12 ounces. In terms of your brewing water, you can heat that up on a stovetop, which is super simple, or you can do it in the microwave, or if you have an electric kettle, that's even better, but whatever works for you, whatever you have readily available. Now, the first brew method we're going to talk about is a basic French press. So we're going to grind our coffee super coarse. If you don't have a grinder at home, you can use a blender, you can use a Vitamix, you can use something that crushes or mashes, or most roasters, if you're buying coffee online, can grind your coffee for you at whatever grind size you'd like. So if that's the case, you can definitely order it that way. Otherwise, I'm sure you can find a way to grind it up. For this one, it's most simple to do. We can use a really coarsely ground coffee. As you can see, it's pretty heavy on the coarse side, and then we're just going to even the bed a little bit and pour our water in. And with this method, there's really no need to add any sort of finesse to your water program. Just dump it on in. Then we're going to set our plunger on top with our filter, and we're just going to set a timer and wait for it to brew. Once our timer hits the perfect time, which is about 4 minutes for most French presses, we're going to press down on our plunger to filter out those grounds. As you can see, it pushes all the grounds to the bottom, or most of them, and I like to empty it out into a different container because I don't want it to keep brewing after the fact, and then we're ready to enjoy. Next up, let's talk about doing a basic pour over. So we're going to skip some of those fancier methods that you see a lot of baristas do. We're just going to make it very simple. We're going to do the same 12 ounces of water. I'm going to add just a little bit more because we're going to rinse our filter to make sure we don't get that papery flavor coming through in our coffee, because no one wants that. That's no good. But let's see at what we need. So we're going to need our paper filter, our decanter, and our dripper. We're going to have this all set up and ready to rock and roll. So fold your filter as needed. This standard V60 filter just takes 1 fold. If you have a Chemex, things like that, there are different methods for folding, but as long as your filter can hold your coffee, you're all set. We're going to grind our 20 grams of coffee a little less coarse than the last time. I'll show you a little bit closer in a minute. We're also going to rinse our filters with that little bit of extra water we have and empty out that water from rinsing. Next, we're going to pour our grounds into our filter, and we'll take a little bit of a closer look so you can see the texture of these grounds. As you can see, they're not nearly as coarse as the French press. It looks more like freshly ground pepper. And then we're going to add our water to the top. Make sure we're just covering all the dry grounds, and we're going to let this sit for about 30 seconds while it does its bloom, which is the coffee just releasing all that CO2 out of the beans itself, and then we're going to add the rest of our water. If you have a kettle with a nice sharp spout, you can do a nice control movement. If you don't, it's fine to just dump the water in and just let it brew. I give the container a quick swirl to try and flatten out the bed a little bit, and just let it go all the way down and drain out all the water. Once it's fully drained, we're just going to pick it on up and chuck that filter out, and we're ready to enjoy our coffee. Now, the pour over is my preferred method for making black coffee at home because it makes just a cleaner, crisper cup of coffee. It works really well with those lighter roasts that have a lot of those really unique flavors, unlike the French press, which has a lot of those denser, heavier flavors, which may work better with dark roasts or more of those caramely tones. Last but not least, let's talk about milk-based drinks and espresso without a machine. So as usual, we're going to do our 20 grams of coffee. We're obviously going to grind it quite a bit finer in the espresso range than we are before, because we're going to make something that either resembles espresso or however you want to look at it, but we're going to make our espresso, quote unquote, in the AeroPress. You can always do this with a French press as well, just make a really highly concentrated coffee, but I prefer to do it with the AeroPress just because it adds that little bit of pressure to the whole mix, and you might get a little crema if you're lucky. So we're going to put our filter into the head, rinse that out in the sink, and then we're going to put it on the base of our AeroPress. Next, we're going to set the AeroPress on our cup, add our coffee to the mix, and then we're going to add our water. You can add as much or as little as you'd like. I'm going to add a little bit between 1 and 2 on the AeroPress just to create more of an espresso shot style. For this method, I like to let the water sit with the espresso for about a minute before applying the pressure, just to make sure a little more flavor comes through as you press it out. Once you get all the air out of there and you hear the hissing sound, you're all set. Take it off and you have your espresso. Maybe kind of. Next up, we're going to add our milk to our French press. Remember, remove any metal pieces from this if you're going to use the microwave. You can't always heat it up on the stovetop. The microwave just real simple and easy. All you got to do is pop it in there for about 45 seconds, maybe a minute, depending on the power of your microwave, and you have a nice, perfectly heated amount of milk. We're going to take that out, we're going to add the plunger back in, and we're going to do a little bit of an aggressive up and down motion to foam up this milk. As you can see, the level rose quite a bit, and there's some foam in there now ready to be poured. But we're going to clean this up a little bit, tap out any of the bubbles, give it some nice swirls until you get a nice clean texture, and you're ready to go. So you can pour it using the French press, or if you have a pitcher like I do, you can pour it into the pitcher. Just make sure you pour it against the side so you don't kill all your foam going from one to the other. Next up, we're going to pour it in our drink and get ready to enjoy. As you can see, it pours just like regular milk. You know, it's a little bit harder to pour latte art with, but you know, you can make it work with a little bit of practice. And then now you have yourself a cappuccino without a machine. And on a side note, this technique also works with alternative milk. So if you have any oat, almond, things like that that are also shelf stable, which may be better at this time, try that out. It'll work as well. All right, so let's go over the brewing cheat sheet really quickly so we're all on the same page. When it comes to brew ratios, we're going to use a 1:16 ratio for our drip coffees. We're using 20 grams of coffee, which is plus or minus 2 ounces as whole bean or ground, and 320 grams of water, which comes out to about 12 ounces of water. In terms of water prep, water can be heated on the stovetop, the microwave, or a kettle, and pour just off boiling. The French press, we're going to pour in our coarsely ground coffee, then we're going to pour in our off boiling water. We're going to let brew for about 4 minutes, press the plunger to filter, pour out, and enjoy. In terms of a pour over, we're going to rinse our paper filter and empty out that water. We're going to pour coffee into our filter, pour enough water to wet the coffee, wait 30 seconds, continue pouring. Once drained, we're going to toss the filter and enjoy. And last but not least, for milk-based drinks, we're going to use 20 grams of finely ground coffee, 40 to 50 grams of off-boil water. We're going to let brew for 2 minutes, press and pour into a cup. Remember, you can use an AeroPress or French press. Next up, we're going to pour milk into our French press. The amount is kind of up to you and what you're making. Place it in the microwave for about 30 to 45 seconds, up to a minute depending on your microwave, and remove the plunger and metal pieces. Again, I want to emphasize, remove the plunger and metal pieces. If you don't, you're going to have a bad time. Once the milk is hot, we're going to replace the plunger, plunge up and down to make the foam, and then we're ready to go. And lastly, I hope this last piece isn't relevant for very long, but don't forget to support your local coffee roasters and order bags of coffee from them to help offset the financial hardships of small businesses during this difficult time. This pandemic is affecting everybody, every industry is hurting, and we really want to support our local businesses and our local coffee roasters. A big thank you to my March Patreon supporters. Big thanks to Ads, James, David, Ninja Warrior Coffee, Christopher, John K, Matthew, Squeegee, Roe, Brian, Robert, Lisa, Thomas B, Andre, Thomas S, Noel, Spookus, Bounty Coffee, Mika, Samantha, Nathan, Aiden, Jonathan, Claire, and Steven. Of course, big shout out to the barista tier and barback tiers. And lastly, I'm going to forgo the spiel to ask you to join my Patreon. Take that money and that effort and that support and put it into your local communities, your local businesses, helping your friends and neighbors. Be kind to each other. We're in this together, and we got to come out of this a stronger world. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, hit that little subscribe button if you're new around here, hit the bell button for notifications of new videos posted every Friday, follow me on Instagram at Sprometheus for content throughout the week, my blog at Sprometheus.com, and as always, stay caffeinated. Pony Boy.